There's something deeply ironic about a guy from Sydney who's called London home for the past decade, choosing to spend his new year on an Italian cruise ship. But then again, aren't we all just searching for that next horizon?
Good morning from Civitavecchia in Italy, Rome's port. The reason I'm here with this beautiful sunrise, the sound of the Mediterranean in this brisk morning, is because that right there is my home for the next week. It is the Costa Toscana. And she's gorgeous. I will be ringing the 2024 New Year's Eve into 2025 in the middle of the Mediterranean, and I am super psyched about it. Come along with me as we explore this ship.
The Costa Toscana, 337 meters of floating Italy. She's a beast of maritime engineering, but there's something almost delicate about how she slips into port, like a dancer finding her mark. There's a particular kind of magic in first times. First cruise, first step, the first glimpse of what would become my floating kingdom for the next week. Benjamin, my cabin steward, greets me with the kind of warmth that makes you forget you're a stranger in a strange place.
Well now, that is something pretty special. Welcome back, wanderers, and a few things have happened since I last checked in. One, we are currently sailing away. I would take you out there. However, now it's dark, the camera I'm using will not pick up, so I'm not able to show you. Hopefully on one of the days, I think we leave at 4 p.m. from one of them. It could be one of the last days, in which case I will then film Sail Away. It's a bit chilly out there. Now we are on a winter cruise after all. I had a nap, and I slept through the muster trial. Don't I feel like an idiot? Oh my goodness, I didn't read the documents that I've got here. I have now, but apparently between 4 p.m. and 5 p.m. I had to go to my muster station, check in, etc., etc. And then I missed the backup drill as well. So I went down to reception, and they're like, yes, you've been put on the naughty list and you have to do it tomorrow. And they were like, why didn't you do it? And I explained exactly what I've just told you, and they were like, okay, just get it done tomorrow. I have to as well, otherwise I'll get chucked off the ship. Sorry, I'm going to keep looking outside, because this is the first time I've ever sailed away on a cruise ship, and it's really spectacular. Look where I've woken up this morning, in Savona. Look at the colours on these buildings. They're absolutely gorgeous. The way that the city is sort of set up around the bay. So everything's in a circular motion, almost like an amphitheatre down to the sea. And then the star of it all today is the Costa Toscana, where I woke up on. You can see how big she is, just poking out behind all of these buildings over here.
Savona, not the Italy of postcards and tourist dreams, but something more honest. The Fortezza del Priamar stands as a brutal reminder of histories that tourist brochures don't mention. These walls have witnessed centuries of Mediterranean power plays, and now they watch as another ship, another crowd, another story unfolds in their shadow.
Good morning, wanderers. Welcome to the port of Marseille, here in France. We've left Italy now. I won't see Italy again until we get to Palermo. Yeah. I have had a blast of the last 48 hours. It's been amazing being on this ship. It is an entirely new experience, and I'm thoroughly enjoying every single moment of it. From the people I'm meeting, to the activities I'm doing. I'm really, really enjoying it. So, today what's on the agenda? I'm going to take you with me into Marseille, see the old town, have a little mosey about. We're not spending too long here. I think we have to all be back on the ship for 4:30 and it's already nearly 10 a.m. So just a quick one in port today. But yeah, come with me and we'll see. As you can see though, I have woken up to an amazing sunrise. I'll show you in the footage. I did get some when I first woke up, but I wasn't fully ready because I'd only just woken up. But yeah.
Marseille doesn't give a damn what you think about it. Never has, never will. This is France's oldest city, its rebellious child, where centuries of Mediterranean trade have left their mark in every stone, every face, every taste. There's something distinctly honest about a city that marks a path for tourists with a green line. No pretense, nothing fake here. Follow this, don't get lost. But getting lost in Marseille, that's where the real story begins. The viewport isn't trying to be pretty for you, it just is. Centuries of maritime history, written in weathered stone and salt-worn wood. And there, tucked between tourist traps and tacky souvenir shops, I found it, a candy store that called to my inner child with the siren song of sugar. Away from the harbour, Marseille reveals itself in layers. Every wrong turn leads to something right. Google Maps becomes less a necessity and more a suggestion, as the streets pull you towards something greater. And then like a mirage in an urban desert, the Palais Longchamp appears. It's a monument to water, which, in a city that spent centuries fighting for every drop, means it's really a monument to survival. The French do irony well, but they do grandeur even better. As Marseille faded into the gathering dusk, I thought about how some cities, like some people, are best appreciated not for what they're trying to be, but for what they simply are. Marseille is Marseille, take it or leave it. It'll be here either way.
Dawn in Barcelona hits differently. Maybe it's the way the Mediterranean light plays tricks with the architecture, or maybe it's just the promise of what's waiting beyond the port. The city sprawls out like a lover who's kicked off the sheets, confident, unapologetic, knowing exactly what it is. It is said, never fall in love with a tourist trap. But La Rambla Barcelona's infamous pedestrian artery, she's different. Sure, she's selling the same crap you'll find in any Mediterranean port, magnets, postcards, overpriced everything, but there's an honesty to her hustle. The Boqueria market doesn't care if you're a Michelin-starred chef or a cruise ship tourist buying overpriced chocolate-covered strawberries, guilty as charged. This is Barcelona's stomach, its beating heart, where locals and tourists perform their daily dance around the same displays of yaman and fresh fish. But cynicism is the cheapest souvenir you can bring home, because between the overpriced chocolate-dipped strawberries and tourist-trap tapas counters, something real is still happening here. Locals still shop here, they just do it earlier before the cruise ships disgorge their curious masses. The resilience of everyday life persisting in the face of tourism is perhaps Barcelona's greatest achievement.
Casa Batlló stands like a hallucination, made permanent. It's Gaudi's middle finger to conventional architecture. It's one of those rare tourist attractions that lives up to the hype, where even the most jaded traveller finds themselves staring slack-jawed like a kid at a magic show. The building doesn't just exist, it performs. In a world of Instagram-ready travel experiences, Gaudi's masterpiece reminds us of the difference between spectacle and substance. This isn't just beautiful because it photographs well. It's beautiful despite how inadequately photography captures it. Some things still demand you show up in person. As Barcelona recedes, I can't help but think about the strange ritual of cruise ship port days. These condensed highlight reel versions of complex cities. 8 hours to do Barcelona is like trying to understand War and Peace by reading the back cover. But maybe that's okay. Sometimes an appetizer is exactly what you need to know you'll want the full meal someday. Last days have a peculiar weight to them. In Palma, that weight feels mysteriously light. Maybe it's the impeccably clean streets, or the way the morning light hits the limestone buildings that have seen centuries of last days come and go. There's something almost Swiss about Palma's precision, its cleanliness, but the soul is purely Mediterranean. After countless islands, countless ports, this place has something different. A self-assured elegance that doesn't need to prove itself to anyone. From Belvedere Castle, Palma spreads out like a fan of stone and tile. There, in the harbour, the Toscana waits like a promise of things to come. Tonight, somewhere between these medieval walls and that floating city, a year will die and another will be born. Hey Wanderers! Well, it's the last night of 2024, and as it falls in upon us, you can see the tiniest little bit of sunset left in the background. We're pulling out of Mallorca and we're going to spend New Year's in the middle of the Mediterranean. I'm tremendously excited and I cannot wait to see where the night takes us. I've dressed up, got a spiffy suit, and yeah, let's go have some fun. There's something wonderfully absurd about putting on a suit in the middle of the Mediterranean. But tonight isn't just any night. Tonight, we're all playing dress up in our floating palace. The chef just isn't cooking, he's conducting an orchestra of sizzling proteins and flying rice, each movement a practical piece of culinary theatre. But the real magic isn't in the performance, it's in what happens around it. The Austrians from Salzburg, Alex and his wife, aren't just dinner companions anymore, they're fast becoming the kind of friends that only travel can create. Intense, immediate, meaningful. As midnight first approaches, the Colosseo becomes what all great spaces become on New Year's Eve, a container of collective hope. Singles, couples, families, all of us suspended between years, between ports, between who we were and who we might become. When the clock strikes 12, we're all equal in our celebration. From the messy handheld camera angles denoting the types of cocktails we have been consuming, couples kissing, singles toasting, and for a moment this ship of strangers becomes something else. A community of people who happen to be starting their year together in the middle of nowhere and everywhere at once. Later in the casino, luck feels less like chance and more like destiny. The Austrians and I find ourselves at a roulette table where midnight's magic refuses to fade. Our German friend joins our impromptu family, and suddenly we're all speaking the universal language of late-night philosophizing and shared drinks. There's an art to a sea day, especially when it falls on January 1st. No ports to chase, no schedules to keep, just you and that perfect line where the Mediterranean dissolves into sky. At 10 a.m, when I finally convinced my hangover to cooperate with consciousness, the world outside was putting on a masterclass in tranquility. A sea day is an uncommonly honest thing, a deliberate pause in our manic need to be somewhere, do something, see something. Out here, somewhere between everywhere and nowhere, time becomes as fluid as the water beneath us. The hours drift by, like the wake behind us, and for once, that's exactly the point.
Will be visible on the left-hand side of the ship. The weather forecast for the rest of the day is northerly winds force 5, a slightly rough sea with a temperature of 15 degrees Celsius. For tomorrow it's expected to be sunny with an outside temperature of 15 degrees. Thank you for your attention.
The secret about cruise ships is that they're at their best when they stop trying to be something else. Strip away the glitz, the planned activities, the endless entertainment, and you're left with this, a floating palace, dedicated to the noble pursuit of doing absolutely nothing. Today, that's exactly what the doctor ordered. Dinner seats me next to a French family, one of those perfect coincidences that cruise ships seem to manufacture. Trade travel stories like precious gems, each one a small window into another world. They tell me about their province, I tell them about my Sydney, and somewhere between the main course and dessert, we sketch out a map of shared experiences that crosses continents. Some nights demand that you dance until dawn, push every limit, test every boundary. But after a day of perfect nothing, there's an exquisite pleasure in surrendering early to sleep, letting the gentle motion of the Mediterranean rock you into your dreams. Tomorrow will bring a new port, new adventures, but today was a reminder that sometimes the best journey is the one that takes you absolutely nowhere. Expectations are dangerous things when you travel. After Parma's polished perfection, Palermo hits you like a splash of cold water in the face. But sometimes that's exactly what you need. Last ports deserve proper fuel, the kind that comes from real eggs, real sausages, and coffee strong enough to wake the dead. The kind of breakfast that says, let's see what Sicily has to show us. Palermo doesn't ease you in. The moment you step off the ship, you're in it. The chaos, the hustle, the endless parade of tour sellers and carriage drivers who treat your personal space like it's a suggestion rather than a rule. The city doesn't seduce you, it confronts you. Sometimes, the best way to appreciate a challenging city is from a distance. Poolside, with Sicily's sun doing what it does best, Palermo's rough edges start to look more like character lines than flaws. The mountains beyond the city remind you that there's always more to the story. We sailed away from port. Sicily's mountains stand sentinel in the distance. There's something poetic about an island that makes you promise to return, not because you loved it, but because you didn't understand it. Sometimes, the places that don't instantly charm us are the ones that teach us the most about ourselves.
Well, wanderers, alas, it's my last evening here on board. I've just finished a most delectable dinner. That was absolutely lovely. It is white and black night tonight. I have a black jacket over there. Alright, what a cruise it's been. Cannot believe I am on my last night already. Sadly, thus begins the packing.
Last nights on ships have their own peculiar chemistry. The suitcase waiting in your cabin, packed and tagged, is a reminder that all good things end, but that's what makes them good. One final perfect meal, served by a crew who've become familiar faces, one last show in the Colosseo, and one last whiskey sour from a bartender who knows your name and your story. And then, like a plot twist in a well-written story, Alex and his wife appear in the casino. Suddenly, the last night becomes something else entirely. Not an ending, but a celebration. Hours dissolve into laughter, into stories, into the kind of night that reminds you why we actually travel in the first place. Not just to see new places, but to meet the people who make those places matter. 5 a.m, and Toscana's rolling around like it's on a drunk bender. At first, I blamed the whiskey sours, too many of those beautiful things the night before. But no, it's the swells, a storm clawing at the ship. I lay there half awake, half dreaming, letting the chaos rock me back to sleep for a few hours. It's a gritty lullaby, the kind I crave. Breakfast with Alex and his wife. They're good people, sturdy as their Alps. The buffet, though, was a war zone. Trays were sliding, coffee was sloshing, and we were laughing, while staggering like sailors, grabbing greasy rolls and staying upright. It's absurd. It's alive. It's perfect. The captain's voice growls through the speakers. He says, 40-knot winds, swells are like angry gods. Port's a no-go. Delayed. I'm not mad. Hell, I'm grinning. More time on this creaking beast. Sign me up. I hit the deck. Wind whipping. Ship leaning into a hard turn. Waves crashing up the side. And I feel it in my bones. This is the raw stuff. The real deal. We docked at last. and I leant over the rail, staring into the Mediterranean slamming up against the breakwater. Furious, gorgeous, and untamed. It's a farewell punch from the sea. I stepped off the Toscana reluctantly and trudged towards the bus stop, salt still on my skin. Waiting at the bus stop, I met two Canadian dames, sharp and funny, Roma-bound like me. We hit it off, trading stories of the road and ruin as the bus groans towards the eternal city. They've got that traveller's glow, the kind that hooks you fast. Numbers swapped, plans made for tomorrow. I ditched them for my hotel. I grabbed a pizza, crisp, honest, no frills. Then I collapsed in for an early night. Storm still echoing in my head, and Roma waiting like an old friend. I wake up, sharp and alive, on a brisk winter's morning in Roma. It's the second time I've been to this eternal sprawl, and I'm buzzing to get back out there. The air has that crisp bite, perfect for wandering a city that's seen it all. I was waltzing through Roma's gritty, gorgeous streets, and there I stumbled upon it. The monument to Victor Emmanuel II, a hulking, proud bastard of a building. It's my favourite in this town. It doesn't apologise, it just stands there daring you to look away. But I don't. Up through Piazza del Campidoglio, past the Roman Forum and onto the Colosseum, you feel the winter sun crackling through, warming the stones, waking the city. It's alive, pulsating and unyielding. The metro spits me out at the Trevi Fountain. Gaudy and chaotic. Perfect. I meet the Canadians at a hole-in-the-wall joint. Lunch is simple, honest, plates of pasta and wine that punches above its weight. We roam on, hitting the Pantheon, landing in the Piazza Navona, and then the afternoon just bleeds into the evening and we're deep in it. Talking life, the road it drags us down, the scars it leaves, and they're good company. You know, the kind you don't forget. As we split up, when the light faded, it was no fuss, just a nod to tomorrow. The rain settled in, soaking the city. I checked out of my hotel and stashed my bags in a locker, ran to meet the Canadians for an 8 a.m. Colosseum tour. It was raining, it was drenched, but we were grinning. Ancient beast stands tall, rain or not, stories of blood and bread echoing off the walls. Gladiators, crowds, raw human madness. It's magnificent, even in a downpour. Lunchtime rolls around, and we passed the Spanish Steps. They were elegantly drenched, and the rain was letting up. We went through the Piazza del Popolo, and it was all brooding charm. I grabbed my bags from the locker, and we settled down al fresco in a little spot. Heaters were humming. Pizzas hit the table with charred crusts, cheese oozing, and we talked. We talked loud and real as the clock ticks down. It was my last meal in Roma, and it was a good one. The Canadians and I were not done for good. Paths like ours pass again, somewhere, sometime. First cruise, huh? Toscana was my maiden too. Rocking through storms, drinking through delays, finding soul in the chaos. People ask if it's worth it. Hell yes it is. Get on a ship, let it toss you around, spit you out somewhere wild. You'll meet folks like the Canadians and the Austrians and the Germans. You'll eat like a king or a queen and stumble into places like Roma, flawed, Palermo, magnificent, and Parma, unforgettable. Fierce. Do it. You won't come back the same.